What's going on, Guardians? It's Tizzle here. In today's video, I'm going to be going over 3 builds for completing the Exodus Garden 2A Lost Sector on Master difficulty. The first thing you need to know about this Lost Sector is the modifiers. It is a fallen Lost Sector, so you'll be running into barrier servitors and overload captains. The Master version always has extra shields, match game, locked equipment, and extra champions. Match game means you have to match the enemy's shield element, or it will be very difficult to take down. This Lost Sector only has void shields, so that gives us some flexibility in our loadout. And locked equipment means you cannot change your loadout. The fallen modifier is Scorched Earth, which means enemies throw grenades much more often. The destination modifier is solar and environmental damage taken. The master modifier is attrition, which greatly slows down health regeneration, so you have to get your health back by picking up light wells that drop from enemies. And lastly, the burn is void damage, so void abilities and weapons will deal increased damage. With that out of the way, let's jump into the first build. The first run I am showcasing today is on my Titan. We're on the top tree void class, the Coat of the Protector. I just like this class because bubble is nice to use in a pinch and gives us extra damage with weapons of light in case we need it. We're using void wall grenades with the Titan chest piece armamentarium, which gives us 2 grenade charges. This is a double primary loadout utilizing anti-barrier scout rifle and overload arrows. I am using the Biting Winds kinetic bow and the Royal Chase Void Scout, and I have the Truth rocket launcher in my heavy slot. What is unique about Truth is it can hold 3 rockets at once, so it is great for burst DPS, which we can use to take down the champions. I put on rocket launcher ammo finders and scavengers as well as reserves, so I could really crutch on the heavy if I need to. Double primary loadouts just don't have as much damage as using a special weapon. I also use Charge with Light mods and Argent Ordnance. If you do not know what that mod does, it gives a 20% buff to rocket damage when we are charged with light. This is important as we are 11 light levels below recommended power, so any extra damage is welcome. As mentioned earlier, this Lost Sector has Attrition active. This means we do not regen health quickly at all. Crest of Alpha Lupi is the only exotic I can think of that gives health back to a Titan, but I do not think that exotic is all that good personally. But it is an option you can use if you are dying a lot. One thing the Titan top tree has is Defensive Strike and Rallying Force. Defensive Strike is a perk that states defeating an enemy with this melee ability creates an overshield. This is one way that we can get health back, though it is risky to melee an enemy when you are low health. And Rallying Force is a perk where melee kills restore health for you and your nearby allies. One other mod you could incorporate into your build to get health regeneration is Recuperation, where your health replenishes each time you pick up an Orb of Power. This mod is on solar boots. Or you could use Better Already, where your health begins to regenerate immediately after picking up an Orb of Power. This would be the better option between the two. I opted to play extra safe and go with Rocket Launcher Scavengers on my boots because I didn't want to risk not having heavy ammo with this primary weapon loadout. For some tips for this Lost Sector, I would just flat out say do not farm this Lost Sector. At least not the Master version when you are under light. It is a different story when you are at level or above level. I farmed this one the first week of the season on my Titan to get the new exotic chest piece. The only reason I did was because the new chest was the drop and I really wanted it early on, but every run was around 12 minutes, so it was not efficient at all, and it took me over 10 clears to get the drop. But in my opinion, this is one of the worst Lost Sectors to farm. I farmed all these Lost Sectors last season just for fun to try and speedrun as a challenge, but this one has so much randomness, it's super frustrating. Ads randomly appear out of nowhere and barrier servitors are a huge pain in the ass when they make everything around them immune. It's certainly doable, don't get me wrong, but it's not worth it if you are willing to wait for an easier day to farm. That is just a good rule of thumb in general. If the Lost Sector has barrier servitors, you might have an annoying time just because of the immunity. If you do go ahead with farming this though, I highly recommend Overload Arrows. They are so much more consistent than Overload SMGs. As well, as you can see on the captain kill just now, you can stun lock the captains in place if you keep hitting them with your Overload Arrows. This is a great thing to know. Explosive Head is a very great perk to have on a bow, as it does area of effect damage. It is basically explosive rounds on an arrow, so you can also get enemies behind cover, and they are good for group ad clear as you can hit a few enemies at a time if they are all bunched up. On this next champion kill, you can see why Truth is such a great weapon in this build. I just have to stun the Overload champion, and then 3 quick rockets are enough to take it down. As mentioned earlier, Scorched Earth is a modifier, which means enemies throw grenades much more often. Arc damage resistance might be a good mod to run here as well if you are having trouble staying alive. The final boss shoots Void Blast though, so Concussive Dampener or Void Resist would also be valuable. Again, in this loadout, I am crutching on the rocket, so I opted for reserves to help make sure I don't run out of ammo. As usual, you want to deal with all the trash adds first before taking on champions, so it is good to sit back and pick enemies off before pushing up. This next part is why I don't really recommend doing this lost sector when you are below light. I cautiously move up as I know enemies sometimes spawn up top. I check and see the coast is clear and I move up. I've done this lost sector without dying plenty of times. The Warlock and Hunter runs coming up are flawless, but I wanted to include deaths in this one to showcase what can often happen in this lost sector. You can play everything correctly and still get screwed because of teleporting adds. It is extremely frustrating, and I don't know what it is with Bungie and the Fallen, but the new raid would have teleporting adds as well. Enemies just showing up out of nowhere. Certain Fallen Overload captains don't always stun when you clearly stun them, they just glitch out. It all adds up to a rather frustrating experience. In these lost sectors you have limited revives, so a death or two isn't the end of the world, but it would really suck if you got to this part with only one life, posted up to take out a champion and get another res in your pocket, only to die to a teleporting ad. So here, because of attrition, I am stuck at low health. I figure I can just lob a grenade over quickly to try and kill the enemies rather than wait 20 more seconds to get my health back. And boom. Either they shoot it out of the air or I get shot in the air and I'm dead. Alright, so let's try this again. I slowly head up top. I even double check that there are no ads. Then, like magic, they appear out of nowhere and kill me. Yeah, no thanks. Now before you comment "get good scrub" or anything like that, as I mentioned before, I have done this lost sector flawless. And in this video in fact. I play it generally the same way each time. Sometimes the ads spawn up top and I am able to kill them before I head up. And then I take the rest out while they are on the ground and life is good. I think that is what is so frustrating, because it is so inconsistent. Sometimes you sit back for what feels like minutes and they never spawn up top, Then you go there and they kill you. It's different every time. And if you're trying to farm quickly, you want some level of predictability. So, if nothing else, I hope you at least had a good chuckle at this ridiculousness. So now we get to the boss room. This can also be rather anger-inducing. The servitors will teleport away from your rockets, they will make enemies immune. Hell, sometimes the two barrier servitors make each other immune. My advice would be this: play slowly and take out the boss first. His Void Blast does a lot of damage, so you don't want to deal with that more than you have to. This is where the rockets come in really handy, especially tracking rockets if you have one. Once the boss is down, do your best to take out the barrier servitors if you want a platinum clear. If not, just make a mad dash for the chest and get the hell out of here. As mentioned earlier, I have 2 other runs after this one, and every boss fight is different, so be sure to stick around and check those out. I will let the rest of this run play out, and I'll see you for the Hunter breakdown. Next up we have the Hunter. We are running top tree tether with vortex grenades and marksman dodge to reload our weapons. We have the Wormhusk crown on to give us health back because attrition is annoying. We have the Charge with Light mod Protective Light on, as well as Concussive Dampener and Arc Damage Resistance for extra survivability. We have Anti-Barrier Sniper Rifle and Overload Bow for dealing with champions. Powerful Friends on for a plus 20 to mobility, which gives us 100 mobility overall, which affords us a very quick cooldown on our dodge ability. I have Rocket Launcher Ammo Finders and Scavengers, and Argent Ordnance for extra rocket damage if we are charged with light. For weapons, we have on Le Monarch, which is a god tier bow for stunning champions due to the burn damage it inflicts. In the background gameplay, I actually miss a shot, but the burn tick is enough to stun the champion. We have a Long Shadow Sniper Rifle for dealing with barrier champions, and lastly, a Tomorrow's Answer with Tracking Module and Cluster Bomb. Enjoy the run. So here is where I miss a shot on the champion, but the burn actually stuns the overload. And here we have Wormhusk Crown saving my life, and then I go invisible from the dodge, and I'm able to pick up a Well of Light to regenerate my health. I am not sure on the difference in the drop rates between bronze, silver, gold, and platinum for solo lost sector clears. If you're not sure what I mean by that, if you kill all the champions in a nightfall or lost sector, you get a platinum reward. Any less and you get gold or lower. But at this point, with the boss dead, you could go pick up the chest and be done. Especially because we are on an invis hunter, you probably would not die. But be warned, the drop rate for an exotic will probably be lower because you did not kill all the champions. This is why I stick around and take out the final 2 servitors. This part can be very frustrating because of the servitors teleporting, as well as them making enemies immune, and lastly because it seems like the drags and vandals always run up one at a time, so just when you think you are good to take out a champion, an ad comes up and messes up your plans, and if you don't deal with the ad it will probably kill you, and this allows the champions to regen its health. So as usual, this part requires some patience and some luck. I eventually get sick of waiting and it almost costs me. The servitors will also sometimes fall down behind cover like they do here. All around, there is just a lot of frustrating crap that can happen in this lost sector that makes it very annoying. Lastly, we have the Warlock build. I'm running Top Tree Dawnblade with Solar Grenades, Healing Rift, and the exotic Sun Bracers. These allow our Solar Grenades to burn longer, and if we get a melee kill, we can chuck grenades for 5 seconds. Much like my last video, the Warlock is the most optimized loadout. I have a Godroll Succession Sniper for dealing with anti-barrier champions, the new bow, the Needle, for dealing with overload champions, and in the heavy slot I have Anarchy for dealing damage over time on champions and the boss. If you have any of these weapons available, I strongly advise using them. We have ammo finders and scavengers on to keep our ammo reserves up, and concussive dampener on the chest for survivability, as well as the mod Bomber on our class item so that we get a chunk of grenade energy every time we cast a rift. Enjoy the run, and I will see you at the end. And here we once again see these damn teleporting ads ruining my champion kill. It is frustrating, let me tell you. So as you can see, the boss and servitors were in the very back at the start of the boss fight. The most optimal loadout for this lost sector might be Truth paired with this bow and sniper. Anarchy can be hard to hit shots with at a distance, as you can probably tell by my terrible aim. So a rocket launcher with tracking, especially strong tracking like the Truth, might be the best option here, at least for the boss room. As well, because of Void Burn, Controverse Hold and Top Tree Nova Bomb would be very strong here, but I wanted to mix it up a little bit. So that is going to do it for the video. I really hope you enjoyed these loadouts and that they help you farm exotics more efficiently. As I mentioned numerous times, I don't think this is a good lost sector to farm. Not when you're a low light anyways. If you enjoyed this video, a thumbs up really helps out the channel. And if you want to see more build videos like this in the future, please be sure to subscribe. Happy lost sector farming guardians, take care.